Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Everything I gotta have to work for it. Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Work for it, work for it.
Hey, I'm Creed with Defiant Fit. Just finished up a series of tricep, cable tricep, push downs or extensions or whatever you might want to call them. Use the cable, use the ropes. I'm really starting to like these ropes right now. Everything I'm doing as far as weight training goes nowadays is to not only build the muscle, create what they call metabolic stress, and I'll explain that a little bit in a second, but to protect the joints. That's really important to me nowadays. Ropes let me do that far more than like any kind of a straight or curl bar kind of extension, and I'll explain why. These are the ones I have at home. They have a really nice big base, and it's a moderately soft rubber. And what that means is I can get my palm on there and let as much of my palm press against there as I can. And so if you just grip the rope, what happens, you tighten up the forearm, you tighten up the tricep, which sounds good, but it forces more of the exertion through your elbow joint, and you get some lovely soreness right in here. If you can get as much palm on this thing as you can, and it takes a pretty fat rubbery piece, it lets you really focus more on the tricep. You're pushing down through the palm more than through the hand, and it really helps. First thing there. When you do these, if you're new to this stuff, you'll be coming up about to your sternum. You'll find a spot where you can get maybe a little extra stretch in there, but if you come up too far, it's going to deload this. And what's worse is if you come up too high, then you have to start by pushing through the elbow. You want to make sure that tricep stays really loaded so that you are always pressing down and always controlling the upward motion through the tricep muscle. The other thing with ropes that I'm really loving right now, because I've had a lot of elbow soreness just from use and abuse, barbells, all kinds of stupid stuff, is as you go down, we'll do this in reverse order. You're kind of at the top. Again, this is reversed. But as you go down, the ropes let your arms naturally spread. So you're kind of close together here. I'll step back here a bit. You're close here. And then as you go down, your body just wants to spread. That feels weird upside down. So you're here and you squeeze it down. And I try to get myself in a posture with pretty good, just good posture. I like a tiny bend in the knees. I like to have my stomach pulled in a little bit, just as part of the stabilization, but I'm not flexing it. I'm not trying to squeeze it and do some isometric thing. I like to have my shoulder blades back. I find if I roll forward, I'm going to feel this more in the elbows and eventually in the shoulders. I get myself back here like this, and with the shoulder blades back and squeeze that down, I can get 95, 96, 97% extension of my arm. And the bottom part of this is just wonderful. You go ahead, you keep constant tension, you're squeezing, and at the bottom, you give it a half-second punch right through that tricep, and then you control and keep that feeling all the way back up, and then you give it that nice slow squeeze at the bottom. Miraculously, I've got almost zero elbow pain, and I've had elbow problems forever. And so I really think that natural motion, because your hands are rotating, you're kind of here, but at the bottom, you're kind of more here. And you're letting your body naturally rotate, which means that the muscles that are supposed to be working can stay fully engaged. If you had just a curl bar or something and you were doing this, you don't get to do that rotation. You don't get that change in narrow, wider. Just try it. Please just try it. I'm doing these 2 to 3 second motions, both concentric and eccentric, up and down. And so it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, big punch, half second squeeze. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3. Never deloading the tricep the entire time. And I'm loving these things right now. It's just something that is going to work the muscles really well. And if you keep that good posture where you're kind of back and you squeeze down and you let it come up, and you just kind of focus on that tricep, I'm getting like 0 elbow pain, which is just amazing to me. So let's go ahead and watch the exercise, and I'll give little comments and explanations as that goes. But give this a try. Kind of watch what I'm doing, emulate it if you would, and at least, test this in your own workout. And let's look at the exercise now. Obviously, we're talking about the tricep for this particular exercise, but for years and years and years, my elbows have just throbbed, doing tricep extensions or skull crushers on a straight bar or a curl bar, or pretty much any other way I've done it. Even on the push downs or tricep extensions, when I'm using a straight or even an arched bar, my elbows always hurt. And I've been doing this with the ropes, and I'm loving it right now. I'm able to get 100% extension on that tricep at the bottom, and I am having 0 elbow problems. So what I'm doing is I put a little tiny bend in my knees. I go ahead and get my shoulders back. I get a little arc in my back, and I just simply press straight down through the cable. So if you look, my upper arm is kind of in a locked position. I'm coming up a little bit past 90. You don't want to come up too far, but a little bit past 90. Doing my half-second pause and then squeezing that down. Now at the bottom, that's where I'm going to do my half-second pause. You're going to squeeze it really hard at the bottom, the tricep, and then try to keep that same agonizing feeling all the way back up until you pause at the top and squeeze it back down. And I'm just finding great isolation. The ropes let you spread your hands some at the bottom. They let you bring them together at the top. And you just get this great natural, neutral motion that just feels great on the triceps. You can really cook them out there. Now for the cadence and the squeeze, I think I've explained this so many times in my other videos, but I'm following essentially a 2 to 3 second eccentric and concentric motion, meaning essentially I press down for 2 or 3 seconds, I pause for a half second at the bottom, but it's not just the pause now. This is one of the few exercises I let my arm go completely straight as I can get it, squeeze that tricep for a half second, and I promise you're just going to light that little devil up. And then as you start coming back up slowly over 2 to 3 seconds, you try to keep that same tension. And so my arms are not quite vertical, they're a bit forward. And when I push down, I try to push down through those palms. I'm not just gripping the rope, but I'm pressing down the weight through my palms. It's going down, and if you look, it is going straightish, but in my head, it's like I'm pushing it down and a little bit away from me. And sometimes I'll even tilt back a tiny bit backwards as I'm pushing down, and I find that just lets me get a complete and total extension on the tricep. Don't bring it to your hips. Don't bring it down so you hit your legs. You're not going to get enough extension there. Make sure it's a few inches in front of you when you crush it down to that bottom position. And as far as failure on these, is just like every other exercise. To me, failure is not to the point, and you'll see this so often in the gym, right? Guys just jerking this thing down and moving at these super
really fast paces, and they're bypassing half their muscle work. They're just bypassing it. Failure is when you can no longer squeeze this down without jerking or cheating or twisting or whatever else is going on with that cable and rope, and you just cannot punch it down any further. And then you're done. You're done. Take about a 2-minute break and you get to do it again. I like going lower weight for maybe 10 or 12 reps, higher weight, 6, 8, 10 reps sometimes, and just squeeze these down, crush them out, and make this a part of your tricep workout. I think you're really going to love it. And if you've had elbow pain from doing triceps in the past, give this a shot. I think this is going to really help you out.
Yeah. Work for it. Everything I got, I had to work for it. Yeah. Living good, a hell of a night. But I had to work for it. Yeah. Work for it. Everything I got, I had to work for it. Yeah. Living good, a hell of a night. But I had to work for it. Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Everything I got, I had to work for it. Wanna live good, you gotta work for it. Work for it, work for it. Wanna look fly, then you gotta work for it. Wanna look fly.